have a very special guest joining me today. Not only is she a dear, dear friend, she also happens to be one powerful healer. And during this podcast, you will have the opportunity to understand why. Let me introduce you to Jodie Lammers. Jodie is a personal trainer, yoga and yin yoga teacher, light worker, and goddess workshop facilitator. Drawing from her own experiences and coupled with her impressive qualifications, Jodie now guides people to connect to the deepest parts of their psyche and works with them to embrace their shadow aspect, bringing light to the areas that need it and find full surrender in order for transformation. Beautiful Jodie, welcome to Heart-Led Changemakers. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Miss Jodie, before we get into all the ins and outs of the incredible work you do, I really wanted to share with our audience how we met, because that story is pretty unbelievable, and it's a perfect example of things that were destined, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So I'll give my perspective first, like what happened from my end, and then you can share what it was like from your end, because it's both experiences are really worth sharing. So last year I was dealing with a lot of female health specific things, and I was poked and prodded, in basic terms, pretty much mistreated by the health system. But anyway, I'd had a minor procedure done the day before our mutual friend's birthday. And in the lead up to her birthday, she said, "You need to meet Jodie. You'll love her." And I'll be honest, when people say that to me, my automatic defense mechanism is, "We'll see." But it's a protective mechanism. But in this case, I was so wrong, like epically wrong. But that day at the birthday party, we didn't really get a chance to speak because I was laying pretty low. But I did hear you say, as we were leaving, that you were holding a workshop, a goddess workshop, specifically focusing on Atlantis. And my ears pricked up straight away. And I thought, maybe I need to check this out. But I was very skeptical, because the last Atlantis healing workshop I did was at the very beginning of my spiritual awakening. And up until then, the quality and the power of those workshops around that time were at such a high level and so deep that since then I hadn't come across anyone that could facilitate in that same way. So I was, a bit apprehensive, but I was curious still. And so I booked in, and I just trusted I was going to get out of it what I was going to get out of it. But your workshops have a limited number of people, and there is a specific reason for that, which we'll chat about. But on the day of your workshop, every single person, bar me and our mutual friend, pulled out, which is so rare, right? And when I arrived at your house, I was tired, emotional, exhausted, and my body was just like not really loving me at all. And so I guess, like, physically and emotionally, I've kind of taken a bit of a beating. But when you opened the door and you had that beautiful smile, you just announced to us, both of us, it's actually just the two of you today. And I thought, oh, this is spirit intervening, because I needed the space and the privacy to let some deep shit go, right? So we come in and you asked us to pick some cards and to lay down, and you started our journey with a meditation. Now, I've got the goosies even just recapping this, right? Because
Me too.
because as soon as you started to speak, you also started to drum. And I've done plenty of meditations and workshops, heaps of sound healings with drums, amazing ones. But this was something else. And immediately I remembered the very first Atlantis workshop I did, and this was the exact same. And when I say the exact same, I mean the wording, like the physical words that you were saying, and the music, the pace of the drum, everything, and the same vision of everything that I experienced the first time came back this second time, even more so. But this time you were there as well, and I understood our connection, and then I just started howling, and that was pretty much the full surrender, because I could trust. I just felt this innate trust in you, that if we were there together at that time, and you were taking me back to a place that I'd already experienced once before with another practitioner who you don't know at all.
Yeah.
It was just so fucking unbelievable, and I knew it was a gift, and most of all I knew it was a miracle. And so we were only at the very beginning, so I still had like an hour and a half to go before I could talk to you about this. So I was like, no, I need to tell her. But I obviously I had some work to do with the healing first. But what I want to ask you is, from your perspective, what did it feel like for you, like us meeting, and that day, and what happened throughout that workshop?
Well, like you said, we went to a mutual friend's birthday, and I had been given the same information, like you need to meet Maryanne, like you're gonna love her. And I do remember that you were there, and there was something about you that really caught my attention, but we didn't get to spend that time together. I just dropped a crystal. Sorry, darling. Um, yes, so I didn't get to speak to you. And you're right, there was we were standing outside, and I don't know if I was actually talking to you or somebody else, but yes, I was talking about the workshop. And then I remember your little, like, hang on a minute, what are these workshops? And I think I'd be interested in something like that. And then, like you said, on that day, it was funny because people were booked in, and that day everyone cancelled, and I just had to go with the fact that this is obviously the way it's meant to be. Like, yeah, and so for me as well, I remember you coming in, and the cards were set up and everything was beautiful, and I explained it was just you guys and how everyone had cancelled. And I do remember your sense of relief, like, oh, thank fuck for that.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be in anybody else's energy right now. And then I actually remember you saying to me just before we started, I'm being told to tell you that I've been to Atlantis as well, that you were a priestess. And so I felt a little bit like, oh, like she's telling me this straight away. But I felt for me that there was already, as soon as you came in, this sense of knowing. Like, I feel, well, in your energy, I felt I've been with you before. There's that undeniable knowing that someone is supposed to be in your life. And I really felt that from you. And then the meditation itself, it's funny because, like you said, you were very emotional, but I'm so far off in my own land that I'm very unaware of the experience that you're having in regards to being emotional, because I'm busy doing my own thing. So I just remember at the very end, you had given me a gift that I don't think you realized was so powerful, which was I've always struggled with self-doubt, and you explained to me that that was the start of your awakening, and that I had just completed a cycle for you, and that if I was ever in doubt of what I did, that there was never any need to have that doubt, because I had channeled from spirit the same meditation that you had prior. So that was that was a very big moment for me. And yes, I was very grateful that we had come together, and it was this undeniable sense of, I know this woman, I've done life with this woman, like, yeah. And it was Atlantis, like, definitely. Yeah.
Yes. And you were saying that I told you straight up that I had I know that I've had an Atlantis past life, and I in the past life regression that I did, I saw my role there. And I would think maybe I've told in total maybe 4 people in my life about that, and you're one of them. And I just felt immediately called just to, to let you know. And I don't even know why I felt like I needed to do that, because, I wasn't even, in a condition really emotionally to even think about it, but it just came out. And obviously you needed to hear it too.
Mm.
But maybe, a part of that helped us both surrender into that trust. Like, you were trusting that I was being
Yes.
open and vulnerable, and I was trusting you
Yeah.
that you would accept that information. Because there's, when you think about the spiritual community, there's a lot of bullshit around the place. A lot of people from an ego perspective say they're this or they're that, or they were this person in that past life, and
Yes.
they were a high priestess and the blah blah blahs. But it's not from a place of truth. It is a way to create a hierarchy in the industry. And so that's one of the
Yes.
reasons
Yes.
why I don't even mention it, because it's not even relevant. The energy in my essence tells the story anyway. But the 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 fact that I felt called to share that with you really, I think, set the stage, because I'd gone from, we'll see if I like her, to what's this workshop, I'll go, but I don't know. And then straight to literally the next time I saw you, one of the first things I said was, hey, I was in Atlantis. I'll tell you, this was the past life. And then to complete, to have the duplicate, like, template version. It was like you were sent the exact same script. It was so unbelievable. And to have that duplicate, I understood that I was closing a cycle, or even,
Yeah.
and maybe even not closing part of that cycle and opening up to another one, because the situation that I had going on is sort of still continuing. But the that part of it was a remembering, and it was so significant, and it was such an important time for me, that very first time, because I'd come off the back of divorce and miscarriages and all sorts of horrible things. And it was such a healing time to have that opportunity to reconnect with it at a time where I was so vulnerable, and in the same sort of energy that I had at the first time, was just, it was just so.
And so, sorry, but the interesting thing was the meditation was about receiving the divine love from the masculine and feminine of Lady Nada and Saint Germain, who were high priestess and priests in Atlantis. So your body, your guides, your everything was calling you in to, remember that love and to balance your masculine and feminine energy. And yeah, like, I find that interesting, of what you were going through and what you were needing as to why you had to be there.
Yeah. And the fact that it was just me and our other mutual friend, being able to surrender so completely and be in that place and then be gifted
Mm.
that, it was just such a miracle. And so, needless to say, it was an immediate, it was never going to be, oh, thanks for that, I'll never talk to you again, because obviously I understood our connection, and I saw us both there.
Yeah.
So now we're friends. You're stuck with me now.
Yes,
And it's
absolutely.
lifelong, it's soulful, and that's just the way that it had to be after that. Even that just makes me laugh so much, because how unexpected, um such a rare thing to happen. And I wanted to share that story, because it's important, and people other people may have experiences like that and maybe dismiss it, but it's not nothing. It's definitely something. And yeah, I'm so grateful.
You are
So
so welcome.
so let's talk about how you got started on this journey, right? So I know a lot of trainers incorporate yoga into their training and so forth, but how did you expand that out into the goddess workshops and the other work that you do?
Okay, well, so before I was ever a personal trainer, I always used to train from home. And I always did DVDs, and so there was like the fitness, and then I always did yoga. And I just always understood that my body really loved yoga. And then becoming a personal trainer, I had brought yoga into my service as being the fitness as well as the yoga. And then I there was, I remember seeing on Facebook, like I wanted to go and study something. I actually had no idea what yin yoga was. Seen on Facebook that there was a retreat, and it was a goddess workshop retreat learning yin yoga. And so I had inquired, and I was all set to want to go and do that. And it turned out that the lady that was running it was actually from Adelaide. So that's interesting. Then COVID had happened, and so she restructured because there was a chance that she wasn't going to be able to run that in Bali anymore. And she decided to do it in Adelaide, which was great because if she had kept it in Bali, I actually wouldn't have been able to attend. And so she did it in Adelaide. And so she's a goddess, she is a goddess workshop facilitator herself and does yoga and yin yoga. And so she always works with the Hindu goddesses. And through my learning, they always did for the yin yoga just a little 5-minute meditation. And so prior to having done my yin yoga training, I used to do once a month like a mixture of styles of yoga, and I started making meditation. And actually, one of those meditations, I had done a little mini one, and I went to Atlantis and I was gifted something, and I was gifted a crystal in my third eye. And I'd never told anyone apart from the people that were here for that, but at a different healing I was receiving, they said, oh, you have a little crystal in your third eye. So that kind of sparked that maybe I can create meditations that actually mean things. And so then doing the yin yoga training, and we were asked to create some meditations with goddess energy. That just kind of extended on my love for what I was already creating, like these little mini ones. And over the time, I've gone from sort of making these like 5-10 minute meditations to now they're like half an hour, 45 minutes. But that's because they're now gone from being just a little experience to a full healing. And I guess that's because the more I'm trusting in spirit, the more they're bringing to me that I just have to go with that and trust that.
I love that. And that intuitive guidance is a big part of the work that you do. And there's a lot of preparation that happens in the lead up to the workshops, isn't there?
Yes, yes.
Do you want to
But I do it for love.
yeah.
Yeah, I can talk about that. So when say for instance the meditation that you came to, I always just kind of feel like I just trust something will happen in my life, or I'll be feeling some energy, and I kind of just put it out there, like, what should we work on next? And somehow it always comes to me, and I guess all this information drops in. I'll write things down. They don't really mean anything at the time, right? And then when I looked into things, and then I thought, oh, I'm going to use Lady Nada. So in that process, I always give myself the 2 weeks window in between. So then I generally will start looking into the goddess. and what does she bring? What does she offer? And I was quite surprised that Lady Nada comes from, and Saint Germain come from Atlantis. And I was like, I didn't know that prior. The more I read about Lady Nada, I realized that in her time and in many lifetimes, she has been the priestess in Atlantis. She has also come back and been a yoga teacher. So all these similarities that were within my life, that I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Then I have always been someone that believes in twin flames, soulmates, and realized that her twin flame, because this is all the sort of stuff that was happening in my life, like I was single at that point and really wanting to call in my divine masculine. So then looking into that, her divine masculine is Saint Germain. Oh my God, this is amazing. And they worked together in Atlantis. So it just kind of snowballs. So I jot down all these things, and as I'm jotting down all these things, there'll be like this idea. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do this. I didn't even know about all the different rays of light and all the rest, and then suddenly that's all a part of it. So then I was working with that ray of light because we were activating our heart chakras. We were pulling in our divine masculine, like all of these things. And I guess there's all these jot downs, and then once I've done them, I almost feel like they're my security blanket. They're what I do to make myself feel valid and trusted in the process. And there's been so many times where I have done things I don't even know what it is, and then I've Googled it later and it's actually something. Like, that's where I really have to trust in the divine and what I'm given, because it blows me away. So then I just sit and I just start writing, and I'll remember, those things or that thing, and somehow it just all comes together. And then I also look at, so if we're working through receiving love, we want to be working on our heart chakra. And so then the yin yoga is built around the heart chakra and how we can open that up and let go of that pain and suffering that you're holding into your heart that is, not allowing you to receive the love. And so sometimes yin yoga can be very confronting, because in, say, that instance, you could really crack your heart chakra right open. And I've definitely had that experience. And it was so immensely painful to actually suddenly feel my heart open, and suddenly I was handed my asshole. Here you go, Jodie, you need to look at that. And sitting my absolute deep sadness that I had suppressed and had kept telling myself I didn't know what was, why my heart was black or why I was, rejecting love. But then all of a sudden it was served up to me, and I had to sit in my sadness, and that was very confronting. And I'm not saying that I want to purposely put people in that place to harm anyone, but it is the most exhilarating and rewarding feeling when you can step into that uncomfortable, step into that pain and that darkness, because the treasure is in there. And when you find that light, the light is the awareness, and it just cracks you open, and there it is. It's amazing.
It is. And so there's even with the physical parts of the workshop as well, you create crystal grids. I mean, I've met people who love crystals. I'm one of those people, but you're on a whole other level, lady. Like, you are crystal obsessed. You talk to them and everything. So how did what's the I mean, I understand the purpose of the crystal grids, but for those who are not familiar, what is that? What does that mean? And then also let's talk about the mats as well, where you know, how you set
Oh, yeah.
intentions for where people are, because that part's really intriguing too.
Yes. All right. Well, so when I was a little girl, I lived on a farm, and I also had quite a challenging upbringing. And so when I was a little girl, I used to find crystals everywhere, and it was always the one crystal. I'm actually holding a piece right now, just to, you know, keep me grounded and protected. And it's called tourmaline. And so this was my favorite stuff, and I found it everywhere, and I collected it and loved the absolute shit out of it. I just thought it was a really pretty rock. I actually had no idea it was a crystal. I just loved it and thought, oh, wow, and just constant, right? And so then my girlfriend, my best friend, she took me to Carpe Diem, and I bought my first ever crystal, which was a landscape clear quartz. And that was, I was madly in love with this crystal. It went everywhere with me. But I picked up a piece of paper and read about tourmaline and started crying because, so now I'm going to cry. Like I said, I had a really challenging childhood, and my angels and guides were just protecting me all the time. And I needed this. I needed this because this transmuted negative energy. It put a protective shield around me. And so that's probably when I realized that I was always so divinely protected and guided. And also that love that I had for crystals was because they hold a purpose. They do something. They do something. And then I had this my landscape crystal, which I took absolutely everywhere with me. And when I worked in childcare, that was like this amazing savior, this crystal. And you know, if I thought I lost it, I'd be panicking like, where's my crystal? Where's my crystal? And a part of that crystal was that it's connected to the Native American Indian. And I had gone to a reading, and the lady said to me, oh, you have a Native American Indian standing with you. And I pulled out my crystal and I said, that's why. he's here with the crystal. And so whenever I literally do, I love crystals. Like I can't explain it. I'm sure I sound like a crazy person, but I just love them. Like I love them. Also, I started recognizing that I kept getting what they call master crystals. I kept attracting those to me. And other people don't attract those crystals to them. It's really just keepers of crystals or light workers that work with crystals that get these master crystals. And I've got almost every kind of master crystal you can possibly think of.
You do.
And then I started with
you absolutely do. I can say that for sure because I've seen them.
And then I've got a few cool stories about crystals, but yeah, I went and did a crystal healing course with a beautiful lady, Sam, at House of Soul, up in Gawler. And she really started the spiritual journey for me, and like me doing different trainings and stuff with her, which was really, really cool. I do remember one time in Carpe Diem, I had met the owner of the shop there, Remy, and just met her. Well, I met her once, and then the next time I was in the shop, she came to me with this beautiful piece of apophyllite, and she said, I never give my crystals away, but this one's just told me that it needs to come with you. So I'm assuming that I was a crystal keeper, and I care for crystals and do that. But I've actually made a grid even just for today's, and so I will try my best to see if I can put that on the video. I don't know how I can do that. Maybe I'll just go like this and see what I can do. Yes, can you see that?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay, so if I try to explain, up the top here, this is a calcite, and it's about calling in angels. And this one here is blue onyx, which I wanted to use to connect with Atlantis, and also Mother Mary. And Mother Mary is the ninth ray of blue light, and just a little bit of clear quartz crystals just to help pull in energy and bring the energy through the tower and spreading it out. I actually can't remember what this one's called, but this is totally about connecting with the stars. And then we've got a Perkama diamond, so high vibrational. So this is all about being nice and high. And then we've got the tourmaline there just to help us to be anchored into the earth. So I make those kind of grids for any of our meditations, and they're always based around, like, you know, if it's the chakra or the destination, but I always put a lot of intention into what crystals bring, what energy, what connection do they bring us to, and yeah, create beautiful grids. Yeah.
And so they also help to hold the frequency of the group in the group setting too, don't they?
Yes. Yeah. And so sometimes at the top of your mat, I will pick crystals that I feel people are going to need. And so I just place them at the top of a mat. And then, so for each goddess workshop, I go around to each of the mats, and I ask for the mat to be at its optimum level for that person. And so obviously that's what I'm doing is the pendulum will spin. So we clear it, bringing it back to its optimum level. And then I use a lot of my different symbols that I have. And so I like to create a private capsule for each person. So, and obviously Spirit knows who's coming in, because people pick their own mats, and they'll be called to either the space, the crystal, just, you know, however it works. But I can always tell as well when I'm programming these mats that people's energy is different, because the pendulum will, when I ask it to be at its optimum level for that person, you know, some people's it will really spin, while others will be like, oh yeah, here we go, this is where they need to be. And so to make sure that that stays a private capsule for that person, I have a rule that when you come into the space, that we don't walk on the mats, because that is programmed for a person and their energy. And if you were to tread on that mat, you're going to interfere with the energy. And I kid you not, people can be so scared about being in a group environment, but when you're in that space, you have no conscious thought of anybody else that's with you there, because that mat is your own private little capsule that's going to take you on your own journey.
Yes. And there's something about women coming together in that way. I've been reading this book called Wild Feminine, and she talks about how important it is for women to come together. And I you know, with my own things, you know, there's some resistance there because of just the way some women are, but in that sanctity, in those experiences, it is easy to connect, and everyone is of the understanding that whether they like it or not, they're probably going to hit some vulnerability, and there is going to be a point where they have to share. And what I really love about your workshops is how you create so much openness for people who are even a bit afraid to speak in group settings, or who might feel a bit overwhelmed by the emotions that they're experiencing, which is often, you know, common. There's usually a lot of emotional release that happens, but you create so much openness for them to just be able to express that out. And that's an art form, you know, that's not something that happens by accident. And you're one of very few people that I know that can do that. And I wish there was more of that. You know, I wish that there were more spaces for us to come together as a community in that way and hold our like space for each other that way too. Because how much easier would it be going through life if all of us were just, you know, allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, but in that beautiful, gentle essence with each other. Like, oh, you know, to me, that
Yeah.
feels like the dream, really.
Well, I would say that's because in Atlantis and Lemuria, women healed together. We actually didn't heal one on one. So, and being that I'm very connected to that side of life, that's how I think I create that vulnerability, that healing together and sharing, because that's how I did it in the past, you know, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
in this book that I was referring to, she was saying about how there's a point working in group settings like that where you open up more of your creative magic with your womb when you're around other women. And I was like, oh shit. Like that's like something that I've probably been denying a bit. And so why would you do that? And now that you're saying about the Atlantis healing, that makes so much sense because I didn't even think about it like that. You know, of course, that's like part of our foundation. It's like cellular memories that we
hmm,
have. And
yes,
when you're suppressing or denying that, like why would you? And as women, you know, our womb space is a point of all creation. So if you're denying that connection with other women where you're accessing more of yourself that way, that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah, really does.
Yeah, I'll just love that so much. And I love that the crystal is assigned to the mat and you don't know where you're sitting. You just choose it when you get there. But it's, you know, and maybe people who are sort of starting off think it's by accident, but nothing is. And
Nah,
I love that you always end up exactly where you're meant to be, you know, and there are a multitude of different components in the workshops that I really like to have you talk about, which is we've got the yin yoga part, which I love because there's like such a beautiful complete surrender. You're physically opening up your body to let go. But before that is a meditation, isn't there? Is it the
yes,
meditation that happens first?
yes,
Yeah, so that you
yeah,
do
the
the
meditation
meditation
happens
first.
first.
Yes. And so
Yeah.
the
And so
meditation,
I think, oh, sorry.
yeah, the meditation is the intention is to settle the energy and set intentions for the rest of the release. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I set it up that, so through the meditation, I always set an intention and have an invocation. And so that's where my intention is, what am I trying to achieve through the meditation? So the one that's coming up, we're doing finding the truth of our stories, because we hold on to our stories and they become our identity. But so often those stories that we're holding on to, they mean nothing. They're not who you really are. And so we're working with Kali Ma. And so through that meditation, the intention is that we go out into the ether. And so the ether is where we separate from God's energy and we are assigned our spirit guides and our guardian angels and our soul contracts. And so we know what lessons we're coming in to learn. Obviously, once we come into the earth, we don't remember that. So I want Kali, she's going to take us up into the ether, and where you're, so Kali Ma is quite a powerful goddess and the darkness and also of truth. So she's going to ask you just a few tough questions, and nothing that's too brutal, but it's for you to come to truth. And so we ask those questions with Kali Ma, and then the Lords of Karma for this one do come in and help you to release that story from your through all your bodies, your lifetimes, the layers, so your mind grid level, your DNA level, so all through all the levels. So that gets removed. And then Carly works on clearing your chakras. And we use symbols and I'm using satium for this one. So clearing all your chakras, and then we're taking any unprocessed negative emotions that you hold in your emotional body will be cleared out. And then we go into the heart space where she opens up the soul's gateway to your heart and clears out your heart chakra and opens you up to unconditional love. And so once we're out there, one of my old stories is that I hold on to a lot of fear around singing, because I was always told that I couldn't sing. And so I found this song last week that I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know about this song. Oh my God, this song's so beautiful. I love it. Yay. Anyway, I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to sing this song when they're out in the ether. I feel like it's about bringing love. Like I feel like it's about your soul and all of this, right? Not really understanding, again, being given something from spirit. Here's this song. You're going to need this song. And so I never look up what the meanings of songs are. And when I looked up the meaning of this song, it's about finding truth and connecting to love. And so it suddenly made sense to me, the vibration of this song I need to sing, but it also allows me to let go of my own story, which is that I've been told I can't sing, but I can sing. So I
love that you are over time have lent more and more into it, because when we met in that goddess workshop that we did, that very first one, the Atlantis one, that was the beginning of when you first started to show your voice, and you sung to me and our mutual friend in that session. And I was saying, we spoke a lot afterwards, and we spent the rest of the day together actually, but we spoke a lot about how important it is for you to have that as part of your expression. And not only do you sometimes sing in these workshops, but you use light language as well, which is, I'm just so fascinated by.
Yeah, that's another lady I have to thank. Her name's Kat, and she has done some work with me around light language, because I felt very, very like I feel like I need to be doing this. And so she opened up that channel for me to be able to do that. And same thing, just have to trust. And that's something I find I used to be quite fearful of doing it, but when it comes to the meditations, I actually just can't help it anymore. Like now it is something that like I set the intention for the room today and it just comes in. And sometimes I understand and sometimes I don't, but I just trust that it's what needs to be. Yeah.
But for people
and people, when I do it.
Sorry, Jodie. For people who don't, sorry. Let's
Sorry.
I'll stop interrupting you. You finish your sentence.
You go. No, that's okay. You go.
I was going to say, for people who don't know what light language is, how would you describe it?
For me, when I do it, I feel that is spirit working through me, and you are receiving codes, light codes, magic, healing. It's something that as it's coming through, and I put my crystals down. I feel very much like it comes down and it's in my heart, and then I will talk. My hands will move, so it's very much that energy, that the codes, the light, whatever it is coming into you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's just
it has been described that it comes through as colours.
Yeah, and that's being channeled through, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
And so with light language, if you've never heard light language before, it sounds like gobbledygook. Like you can't understand. It's not like a translation. It's a whole other language that's foreign,
Mhm.
but you can feel the frequency and the energy of it if you allow yourself to, which is, yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated by it. I would like to open up to light language. I don't feel like it's there for me yet. And maybe never will. I
Mhm.
don't know. But it's
Yeah.
yeah, I love listening to it, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I found, like, because you'll feel that the energy of it is different each time, as well, like depending on the goddess that you're working with. So when I did the endometriosis, and I had became the cobra, I can't remember the goddess. I just need to look up her name because I've, like, it totally slipped my mind. I'm just having a look. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh yeah, Goddess Wadjet from Egypt. And so I got this message that I had to work with Cobra energy. And so then I looked into, well, which goddesses use Cobra energy, because I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's Wadjet and Isis. And so she is the Cobra on the sun gods, and the pharaohs. Like she is that. So in the womb space, when we were in there through that endometriosis, she becomes the cobra, and I physically felt that was me. Like I felt my chest flare and the flare of the cobra and the light language that came through for that. I mean, you'd think that I was slaughtering someone. I'm not really sure. It felt not, I don't want to say it was aggressive, but it was so powerful. Like it was really, really powerful. So I've never felt that kind of, I don't know, I guess the words I'm hearing is dark. It was like this dark slaying, and it was because the cobra was shredding the walls of all of the reproductive system. That's what was happening when I was in there. So
Yeah, so amazing.
and yeah, the feedback from that, one of the ladies had given me feedback that she had been having endometriosis and had been bleeding for quite a while. And the day after that healing, she stopped bleeding.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. That was like an oh my God moment.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of women are disconnected from their womb space. They don't even realize, even paying attention, even just feeling into where your womb is. A lot of women just avoid that. I have been one of those women, 100%, because of my experiences and whatever. But it's it hasn't been a natural thing because you're not taught that. You're not taught that at school. When you're going through sex ed, where are conversations like that about honoring your cycle and all of that? You just know that
Yeah.
you bleed, you go through a change, you might get some zits and the blah blah blah. And it's very clinical. And there's boys in the class, like there's no place and time to really chat. And then as teens, you don't really want to speak to your mum or your parents because that's awkward and embarrassing because you've got that psychological thing
Mm-hmm.
happening as well. There's no sacredness, so we disconnect, and by the time we end up as adults and we have these wonderful different things happen like endometriosis and fibroids and the blah blah blahs, those things happen because we've been ignoring fear and other
Mm-hmm.
emotions that are trapped in the womb space, in the pelvis, in
Yeah.
in our whole area, in our root chakra and sacral as well. And so
Yeah.
to have um space to come to in a group setting, especially, what we were talking about, the power of that before, but to be able to come
Mm-hmm.
in there and then be guided energetically by goddesses who are specifically who specifically work in those areas, who are, you know, and the cobra and all that snake energy is all about transformation. So it's about shedding that old judgment, and there's a, you know, most women carry shame and guilt and lots of other trauma and stuff in their womb space to come in there, to come in there and just be able to surrender and release it. Of course she stopped bleeding the next day. I know for me, after some of the workshops that I've done with you, things have simmered right down, and I just think, how much worse would it have been had I not had some of those experiences? But the more we lean in to facing the truth of us, especially the shadow aspects, the better. And that's one thing that you do so well. You help people just gently, because you're a beautiful, gentle soul. You just gently go, come along. And even working with like Kali Ma, who's like, she'll tell you a new one, don't worry about that. You know, she's like a very strong, take no prisoners goddess, if you've ever worked with her. But you know, the fact that you can gently take these people on the journey, and they don't even really know that it's coming, but they are okay that it is going to happen. And then just holding that space and supporting them through from beginning to end is just, it's just so incredible. I'm just like so in awe of the stuff that you do, which is one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show. Plus I like talking to you anyway, obviously.
Thank you.
So what are your tips for someone who is participating in workshops or even at home meditating to surrender? Like, what would be like your thing of encouragement for them?
Well, I think that we have to always trust what we are given, and that there are no such things as a coincidence. I always feel like we're always divinely guided, and we meet everyone for a reason. And so whether someone's coming in because they're coming to the gym, and then I start talking about the workshops, next thing you know, they're ready and they come in. And I think it is important to trust your facilitator. And I think that I really do have a gift of making people feel welcomed, safe, held. And that's where I think I'm really blessed, because people do step in, and they do just surrender. And maybe it's the rules at the start, and you know, when I explain that once you come in, I need you to come early, because we start when we start. Once we start, we don't talk. You know, when we go through yin, there's no right or wrong, because everyone's body is different, and you don't need to ask questions, because I'm going to show you and I'm going to explain it to you, and then you're going to find what's right for you. So straight away, you let your guard down, because I'm not going to get this wrong. She's already told me there is no right or wrong. My body is my body. So I've already made it safe for you to do what's right for you. And you don't need to ask questions. So that's great, because I was so scared, but she's already told me I don't need to ask questions. And then we don't talk the whole time. And then she's going to tell me the whole way. So she's going to tell me and guide me the whole way. And we're going to do this sound bath. And she's told me at the end that there's a beautiful talking stick. And if I want to share, I can share. And if I don't have to. So you've already been made to feel like, oh, thank Christ for that. There's no pressure here.
Yeah. And what about for those people who are doing some work on their own at home outside of that? How would you recommend that they surrender?
So I feel like the greatest way for me to surrender is I always do guided meditation, because to meditate on my own with just music, I find I cannot relax my mind. I just can't. I can't let go of the control. I can't let go of my wandering mind, blah, blah, blah. So if I put on a guided meditation, I'm putting my trust in that person who's talking. They're just going to guide me, and I can just let go, because there's no right or wrong. And the other thing I really, really love is that the security of knowing if I fall asleep, my unconscious mind does the work for me. So I'm not missing out. I don't have to stress. I don't have to worry. And if I don't know what's happening or understand it, the unconscious mind, my soul, they already know, and they'll do it for me. So
Yes.
that's, I would definitely say, trust in guided meditation and just allow yourself to relax.
Yeah, I mean the guided meditations work better for me than just the music, but I find just even in the lead up to doing a guided meditation, so I can surrender more there. I'll just go for a short walk. I'm really lucky. I live close to the beach, so I'll just walk barefoot at the beach for a bit and then come back, and then just focus on my breath. Do some grounding that way, and then I'll do the guided meditation so I can get the most out of it. But sometimes I go straight into it,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's a bit clunky at the beginning, and I end up doing two because the first one is to settle me down,
Yeah.
and then the second one I can get right into it. And other times I think it really just depends on what's going on externally as well,
Yeah.
and how much you do this too.
Yeah.
The more
Yeah.
regularly you do that as part of your practice, the easier it becomes to surrender. Your body starts to understand the process of surrendering, don't you think?
Mhm. Absolutely, because I never used to get deep sleep, like ever. I don't even know how I used to function. And so that's where my daily practice is. At bedtime, I do meditation. So I need to do, for me, anywhere between half an hour and 40 minutes of a guided meditation. And that is so that I can calm my nervous system down so that I can actually go into deep sleep. And because I don't put pressure on myself, and I think if I fall asleep, that's okay, my earbuds are in. And then if I wake up, I then put them away, put my sleep music on because I can't sleep in silence, and I go straight back to sleep. This is why it needs to be 30 minutes to 40, because if I did 10, 15, or even 20 minutes, it's too short and I've woken myself up too much, and so I won't go into deep sleep. And so I need the meditation, the guided meditation every night. And that's where now I can get my averages between half an hour and 1 hour of deep sleep a night now. I've never, ever used to have any. Like, my
Yeah.
average was between 3 and 13 minutes.
And the sleep part is so important for your emotional and physical well-being. There it is like business critical. So it's just really playing around with whatever works for you. Because for me, I get annoyed that my sleep gets broken. So I don't have any problem sleeping. Even at the highest peak of my stress, I can, as soon as my head hits the pillow, that's it. And so I don't know why, but that's just the way that it is. But I'd like to be able to listen to meditation and fall asleep listening, but if I get disturbed having to take the earbuds out, I don't like that. So I've tried
Yeah.
even I've got the home speakers, the Google Home speakers and stuff, but they
Yes. Yep.
start scratching. So I'll put it like an 8-hour one on, but after a while, I don't know. I need some sort of tech person to come and tell me, but they start to crackle after a few hours, and so that wakes me up. The crackling starts waking me up, so I've abandoned that ship too. So now I've just gone back to my sort of normal routine, but I think having a set, giving yourself set time so that your body knows this is the time of the day where we do this, and that also helps the surrender. I find that if it's like, okay, we know, like with your workshops, they're fortnightly. Okay, every fortnight, I know that when I go there, this is what's going to happen in your morning routine or your evening routine. Just start. I think it's helpful for people to start incorporating some of that, because that it's almost like you're teaching your body to know, okay, this is when we're going to relax, and this is when we're going to do this
Yep.
work, and over time, it does get easier.
It really does. Like, I think yoga in general has like really brought so much to my life because it's calmed my nervous system. I think I was always in fight or flight. And so the yoga, whether I'm doing yoga or the yin in the gym, we always do 2 yin poses at the end and a 10-minute shavasana. And so then that way it's like the people that come talk about how they find it so hard to do it at home. but when they come here, that they can just do it. But that's because the routine of their body knows we can do that here. And that's validating what you're saying about having that routine, creating that time for your body to know. And because this is when they make the space and the time for it.
Yeah. And also it just teaches your brain, you know, it trains your brain, because it's not your normal automatic mode of operation, especially if you're in workplaces that are really, you know, high in intensity, you know, and you're in fight and flight mode because of your circumstances, whatever that may be. It's especially important to give yourself dedicated time where your body knows, okay, in the morning after we brush our teeth, we do some somatic exercises first before we do our meditation, you know. But your body knows, okay, this is what happens. My morning routine is, it's like an army regimen thing that I do. It's like there is no option. This is the I don't even, if I have to be somewhere at 8, it means I have to be up early enough to be able to do all that stuff. It's like non-negotiable within reason.
Yeah.
Within reason, depending on how I'm feeling. But but it's like a discipline, and but that gives your body a sense of safety and security for surrender, because it goes, okay, this is this, we know what happens here. There's nothing that happens here that we don't know. So it feels in control, but at the same time it feels in control, so the surrender can happen. And I think that's important too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what would be happening at the gym, you know, that everyone knows this is what happens. So the body goes, okay, we know, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights when I train, this is when I'm going to get to release some of the things that are stored up and bothering me. And now our fascia, this is why yin yoga is so important. Our fascia holds so much of our emotion. It's just a really great way. And a quick way. It doesn't even take very long to hold a couple of poses, just to give yourself some respite and some space.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like for me, doing the yin yoga and the yoga religiously now, I'm a very high vibrational person, you know, very much on that ADD spectrum. And I just feel like I'm a lot more calm. My energy's not as skittish as what it was before. Like, I mean, obviously after I've done the yin and you know, had a great time. When you see me, when I am after those and I'm woo, I need to have coffee. I need to ground back into my body, because as soon as I'm out, the ADHD, like, I'm really intense. So that calming my nervous system down and doing those things is really, really beneficial to me. Definitely.
I remember the first time, like seeing you so high after it wasn't the Atlantis workshop, it was the one after that that I came to, and you were so high after that you had a coffee, and I was like, that's the freaking last thing she needs, a coffee. But it calmed you, and I was like, wow, I had no idea. And it was like instant. You just like it was like like a decompress. And I thought, all right, I've never thought like caffeine could do that, but clearly it did. And again, that's just another example of, you know, whatever works for you, to help you maintain your energy and keep a consistency. But yin yoga, I love that, the uncomfortableness of it. I love that you have to surrender yourself in all of its ways, especially with the mind. The mind is like my favorite part of yin yoga, because it's like your body's like, get me out of this. And you know, you've got you've got a choice of whether you know, continue to be hard with it, or you surrender to it and you just you soften and you be gentle with yourself. And it's a really great way for you to become even more self-aware of how you're treating your body. You know, these bodies that we're in need to be cared for, but we just go along bashing them around without too much thought. So yin yoga is slow. I love that you don't get off the floor. I love being a sloth like that.
Mhm.
It's so good.
Yep. It's
So
so nurturing. Like,
it,
it's so nurturing, I feel.
it is nurturing, absolutely. And you feel open after, so open.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because I try to explain it to people that, we've got flow yoga and it's all about stretching your muscles and all the rest. Whereas I feel like for me, yin is about, so the meditation gets you to go into the awareness, and you've had the emotional release. And then we come into the physical body and we have the physical release. So the yin is matched to what we've let go of in the meditation, so that then you physically go, okay, so that stress, oh, that's been sitting in my hips. Is it on the right side? Right. Okay. Yes, it is. Okay. So what masculine energy am I holding in my hips that's causing me this stress? Do I want to go into that or do I not? Because the universe is saying, today's the day, honey. Do you want it or do you not? And it is confronting, because it's some of those poses, and it's funny. Some of those poses, one person is like graceful and beautiful, they obviously hold no bloody stress, while you're sitting there like shaking and trembling, like, oh my God. And again, you're still in your own little world, right? So there's the permission to still let yourself cry, be in that, it's confronting. And then I'll say little prodding things that just sort of open your awareness that little bit more. I might explain that the area we're working on will hold fear. So, if you feel that your body is starting to feel some pain, that could be fear that's coming up for you to look at. So this is a chance for you to sit in the stillness and connect with your physical body and what it's holding, because your body, pain is the physical body telling you what you need to work through.
Yeah. It's so true. And I remember, especially at the beginning, I used to cry after every yin yoga. I started it when I was living in Melbourne, and I'd cry. I was the only person in the class crying, but that's okay. I was like, whatever, I needed it. But I would I was opening up things that had been shut down for a really long time. And now sometimes that happens and sometimes no. But the respite is so immediate, and the way that just in doing that, it changes other areas of your life without you even realizing your approach to it, your thoughts about it. It just you don't even realize how significant it is. And it's not just like that day that you're feeling good about it. It's there's a a period of time afterwards where it is still unfolding. Like, you haven't even seen the best of it yet, which is another gift that I think a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah. The integration, the girls were talking about it today. One was talking about how they were coming up to 2 weeks since their endometriosis, and just still working through and integrating what's coming up. And one of the other girls had quite a profound, we were in the energy of the eclipse. And so that really did bring up a lot of stuff for them. And so there was a lot of working through. But once you've integrated, and I guess as well, if things are coming up, it's really great to journal, right?
Yeah.
Because if you can journal, then you get the opportunity to offload, right? You can see and understand what's happening for yourself, and it makes the process a lot faster. Whereas I kind of look at it as, you come into the yin, everything, you've given permission for everything to come up, right? So if you leave here, and so I guess this is what integration is, if you leave here and feelings are still coming up, and if you go, oh, why am I still feeling that way? oh, I'll journal about it. Oh my God, that's so amazing. That's connected to this. But if you go, oh, these feelings are coming up, I don't really have time to deal with them, so I'm going to push them back down, the integration is going to take a lot longer for you to get to the other side, because you've already given the permission for yourself to let go of those feelings. And you still need to work some of those feelings out. So I do think journaling is a really great tip to help you to process what's coming up, help you to integrate faster, because there's massive epiphanies that can come to you after. And that's what I love for me with writing these meditations, because they're generally relatable to my own life. And the epiphany that I had in the process of writing this meditation was, I'm holding the old story of being in fear to sing, which, oh my God, that's not even my story anymore, because every time I sing, I'm so supported, I'm so held, I'm so loved. So why do I hang on to the old story that's not even relevant anymore? Like,
Yes.
okay, well, time to let go of that.
Absolutely. And you're right. Journaling after any of those workshops, even after a meditation, is accelerating what you're shifting. And it's another really good tool, because sometimes when you write things, you don't even realize that that's the stuff that's been bothering you, or it can open you up to a lot of really good. I know for me, from a work perspective, it opens me up to lots of really cool, inspired ideas after too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
it's a
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
good tip. Good tip. So talking about meditations, I know that you have prepared something special for our audience today, which I haven't done at all. You're our very first, and rightly so. I've gone straight to the top of my list with the most amazing of healers. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what you've prepared?
Well, I've tried to not prepare too much, because I wanted to go with what comes through. And so this is me trusting and having faith, because this is uncomfortable for me, because I like to be organized, I like to plan. And so really what I've just sort of done is wrote like little things, like I set the intention that I feel that we're all needing some beautiful love in our hearts, and the Divine Mother of Mother Mary is someone that would be great for that.
Awesome.
And so I'm going to trust that she will come in and guide me to take us on this journey.
Beautiful. So what would you like us to do? How are we going to start?
Or actually, I just want to know, like, if I'm using the drum or anything like that, is that going to be okay sound-wise?
I don't know, because I haven't done this before, so we can try it.
Well, let's just have a little test of things.
Okay.
Does that
I
come
can't.
through okay?
No, I can't hear it.
Okay. All right. So we won't do the drum,
Okay.
because that won't come through. So that's all right. It just needs to be my voice.
Yeah.
All right. So we're just going to shut down our eyes. And so I set the intention for Mother Mary to step into the space with us now, and that we would love to receive the beautiful love of Mother Mary and her beautiful night ray of sapphire blue light. And so this light is the light of the angelic kingdom. And this light will nourish our soul, which will bring us into more growth and will help us to connect with joy. The joy that we hold in our soul, which is our love. So just taking some nice deep breaths in and out. And as I set the intention that we travel to the higher realms, out into the cosmos. And I want you to take a nice deep breath in and hold your breath for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as you exhale, I want you to feel your feet melt into the earth, rooting down into the earth as you become a beautiful oak tree. As this tree engulfs your body, you feel the length of your roots down into Mother Earth. You feel the length of your trunk of your body. And you see and feel the roots and arms of your tree reaching up high into the sky. You are perfectly grounded into the earth, whilst reaching all the way up into the cosmos. And as you feel the nurturing energy of beautiful Mother Earth, feel her pulse in your heart as you are strong, grounded, and safe. Yana taya su, yana kaya tu, yana taya su, yana koyana tu, yana koya taya. And as you look up, you see the beautiful stars of the cosmos. And you are in the darkness of the cosmos now. There are beautiful stars. You are floating in the sky, in the nothing. You are light. You are beautiful. And in the distance, you see this beautiful blue glow. And as this blue glow draws towards you, it suddenly becomes so big and bright, and out steps Mother Mary. She places her hand on your heart. You feel your heart getting larger and larger. And as she pours into your soul the beautiful ninth ray of sapphire light, feel it running through every cell of your body, through all your meridians, every tendon, every muscle. Your whole body is vibrating with this beautiful blue light. Mother Mary looks you in the eye and says, "Dear child, I love you, and I want you to receive my love. I want you to ask yourself, why do you resist love? What holds you back? As she opens your heart up to healing, she sends to you the zona. This opens you up to receive her unconditional love. As she sends into your heart the tamarasha to remove any blockages. As she brings to you peace and harmony. Seheki, seheki, seheki. Bringing balance and harmony into your heart. My beautiful soul, you have sadness and grief through your heart. With your permission, I give you the Maya or Maya. In your mind, if you wish to receive, just say yes. To the power of 3. As you feel your heart expanding now, as the blue ray continues to flow through your body, and your sadness and grief has been sent out into the cosmos. Who sends to you the Raku. And as you express your gratitude to Mother Mary now for the beautiful love that you've now received in your heart, your access to joy is with you now. In your soul, your seed has been planted. You are ready to grow. And as you feel yourself coming back into your tree, bringing back all fragments of your soul in all your light, bringing yourself through your tree and into your roots, sending your roots back down into the earth as you become whole again and connected to Mother Earth. And just bringing your awareness back into your body. And just gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. And just begin to bring movement back into your body. And slowly, when you're ready, opening your eyes.
What a beautiful gift to receive. Feels so good. That was wonderful. I adore you. You are an amazing person. And I am so grateful that you said yes to coming on the show and for letting people see the best of you today. I know that you've got in-person workshops and healings, and you do online stuff as well. So people who are not in Adelaide specifically can appreciate and enjoy your services and what you do, and should actively take advantage of it. If that was me, that's my recommendation. But I will share your Instagram and all of your information. But how is it best for people to connect with you?
Yeah, and any of those platforms, whether it be Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, just send me a message and then we can talk about how we move forward. And look, the thing is, if you were to do the Goddess workshop from home, all you need is a yoga mat, some pillows, like, you know, a blanket that's rolled up. You don't need much. Like, you could definitely do those things at home with just a few little bits and pieces. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
is, I mean, it's experiential when you come and do that in person, but the power of those workshops, even online, as you know, even just in this meditation with you today, this little mini one, the energy of it and the frequency of it, you know, you can certainly feel it, and it is intense. And the workshops online work the same way, so it's not like you're missing out or it's less. To me, it is pretty much the same thing. And sometimes I prefer the online version, because then I can just stay slothing at home afterwards, and I can go straight into journaling, and I'm not moving. You know, I can just stay in my little sacred space and totally lux out in my own environment. I don't have to think about driving home afterwards or anything like that. So there's advantages for both, for sure. But I have loved having you on the show today, and I will have you back again soon, I'm sure. But the meditation is one that our audience can come back to anytime, and I hope they allow themselves to feel all of that love. And thank you for sharing your love with us today.
You are very welcome. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. See you soon.